So I just kept getting these visions of what I'd seen, and you know, when I start getting the giggles, that's it. I'm gone. I just couldn't concentrate anymore on that. I don't even remember how I got in the match. I had a good start. Well, hello and welcome to another Fishing Towel Films, reeling back the years, episode 8. And this could be a bit of a long one because there's going to be two stories in this video. The first one, I'll go back to my school days when I won this trophy there, and I'll explain how I managed to win that. I was 14 years old and some of the venues that I used to fish. And the second story is I fished a club match back in the early 2000s, and it is one of the most funniest scenarios that I've seen, that I've witnessed while I've been fishing. I was right in the thick of it, and I had tears rolling down my face, and I look forward to telling you that story. It was hilarious, it really was. So, before I start, many thanks for all your comments, and that most of you seem to be enjoying this Reeling Back the Years series, which is great to know. It certainly spurs me on to make more videos like this, as well as going out and fishing as well. There's lots of fishing videos coming up on the channel. I cannot wait for the river season to kick off again. Now we've got quite a few weeks to go, but I've got so much planned, and I'll tell you about that a bit further down the line as we go along. There's some really interesting videos that I want to do on the rivers, so if you love your river fishing in beautiful surroundings, and I'm sure you'll enjoy those videos. So let's go back to this trophy here that I was so proud to win, and this goes back to my school days. I used to go to school in Canning Town, and back, when was it? Must have been, well, I first won this trophy in 1976-77 season, and takes you back, doesn't it? It's not until you start looking back at dates that you realise how old you are, and it just seems a lifetime ago. So my school, Eastlea, which says in Canning Town, we opened up started up a fishing club, and one of our school teachers, called Mr. Jones, he was technical drawing teacher. He's a tall, very tall man. He's probably, I reckon he was about, must have been, I don't know, 6'7", 6'8". He was a gentle giant, we used to call him. He was such a lovely man. And also there was another teacher that used to come out, because obviously there used to be sometimes a dozen of us that go out, and we'd do like school trips. We'd go up to Norfolk, and we'd sort of spend a weekend there, so we'd be camping out as well. So there was other teachers involved as well, and we went on these school trips. And I think his name was Mr. Woods, and his nickname, although I don't know if he knew it at the time, his name was Mr. Magoo, because if you know the character Mr. Magoo, he was a spitting image of Mr. Magoo, and but he was a lovely bloke, and I think he retired. He was coming up to his retirement, and I think he was with us for a couple of seasons before he then retired, and we presented him with funny enough, a reel like that, a Shakespeare reel, and we were in Norfolk, standing by the river, and we presented it to him, and I think he was quite emotional by it all. He was well chuffed, and he opened up the box, and we're all like standing around him. He opened up the box, and the reel slipped out of his hand, rolled down the bank, and fell into the river. And his face, because luckily the river was clear and it was quite shallow, and we managed to fish it out. He must have felt absolutely terrible. He was very apologetic, not that he had to be, and hopefully he went on to have some good fishing sessions with it. But when you look back at these things, you know, within like, you know, seconds of opening it out and going, wow, he drops it and straight into the river. Anyway, I digress. Going back to the 1976-77 season, and we were quite active. We used to go all over the place, and we joined, I think, like an affiliate or associate to the London Anglers Association, so that then sort of meant that the school could then open up to lots of different venues. And on one particular occasion we went down to Glemsford to fish the Suffolk Stour. They've still got that water. I'm still a member actually of the LAA, although I need to fish it a bit more. But at Glemsford they had a nice section of the River Stour. I've not been there for years, so I wouldn't know what it's like now. And the Vic Franklin Trophy, which is what this is, Vic Franklin was one of the school colleagues, was called Trevor Franklin, and his dad donated this trophy to the Eastlea Angling Club, as we were known. And so that was nice of him. And this was going to be awarded to the angler that had the top weight throughout that season. And I saw this trophy. It's a bit damaged there. That one of the wings of the eagle come off. Why there's eagles on there, I don't know. But anyway, sadly that happened, and I lost the wing. So I was going to sort of get it repaired. But yeah, so we went down to Glemsford, and like I say, Vic Franklin very kindly donated the trophy, and you had to have the top weight for the season out of all the matches that we would fish, all the trips. And we sort of we had like a bit of a fixture list, and the certain matches were classified as a match, so as opposed to just a trip. And we went to Glemsford. And because in them days catching a carp, there was no carp about, you know, and all of the matches were basically on the rivers, so it's natural fishing, rivers and the canals. And at Glemsford I managed to winkle out, because I used to just fish for bites, fish nice and fine, fishing for bites, and I caught 4 pound 2 ounces, which doesn't seem a lot. Well, it's not a lot compared to now, you know. 2, 3, 4, 500 pound weights, but that's all carp. In them days we didn't have that, especially on the rivers, and we had we used to have some fantastic trips. We really did. And so I had 4 pound 2 of little chublets, little roach, gudgeon, lots of gudgeon, and I had the top weight of that day, and also that turned out to be the top weight throughout the season. I can't remember exactly how many times we used to go out each season, but I would say it was probably at least 10. You know, we used to be quite active. It might have even been more than that. It might have been more. So I was really honoured to win that in 76, 77 at the age of 14. catching lots of little fish, £4 too. So being as I was the winner of that, the following season I was determined to hang on to it, because I used to love this sitting in my bedroom when I was living back in Plaistow and Forest Gate in East London. So that used to take sort of pride on my mantelpiece in my bedroom, and I thought, right, I'm going to make sure I win that again. And in the 77-78 season, we went up to, I think it was a day trip. So I remember my dad came with us as well, because we needed more cars to go on the road, and obviously there was quite a few of us. And we went to fish the River Ouse at Ely. It was a London Anglers Association water, and I think they've still got that stretch. And so we fished it. I remember seeing this really wide section of the River Ouse. I've never seen anything like it. It was very deep. It was like one big deep channel, and it was quite straight as well. So we was all fishing away, and I was fishing next to some lily pads. There wasn't much flow, probably because it was so wide and deep. It was summertime, and I was catching lots and lots of skimmers. I was really enjoying myself. Nothing massive. I'd guess probably that was about the average stamp, and there'd be the few small roach, the odd little perch, there'd be the ruff, which you don't really seem to catch them much these days. There was ruff in there, like I say, gudgeon, little perch as well. And I won that day with £6.6, and that turned out to be the top weight again for that season. So I'd maintained my grip on the trophy for the second year, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, right, I've got to make it the hat trick now. That was my thought process. And in the 78-79 season, so I would have been 16 then, we went to Pitmore Lock. Now I've fished Pitmore Lock quite a lot. I had my first roach over £1. That's on the Suffolk store, so back on the Suffolk store. And I kind of felt very confident for that one, because I knew Pitmore Lock quite well, so I had a bit of an advantage over all my schoolmates, and which was good. And my main rival was a nice chap who used to play cricket in the school team together, was Glyn Grimstead. He was a good angler, very good angler, and we kind of spurred each other on. We were sort of almost on a level playing field, and he went on to have a fantastic life, a career, because he became an actor, and you may have seen him in some things. He was in an episode of EastEnders. What else was on? Call the Midwife. There was a film out recently called Saltburn, and I think he was like a taxi driver in there. His list of things that he's featured in is long, but he done lots and lot of cameo roles and stuff like that, and I think he done a bit of writing as well. We briefly chatted a few years ago, sort of caught up, on social media, probably on Facebook, and we were chatting away, and he was telling me what he was doing. He was doing more writing, and I think he'd done quite a bit of theatre work as well. Appeared with lots of stars, and so he was my main sort of fishing rival, which was quite good to have someone to compete against, because you had people from all different levels. So go to Pitmore Lock, and I can still see it now. I was fishing, there's a railway bridge that comes over, and the trains are so definitely loud as they come over. But there was a swim set down, and there was on the far bank, the river narrowed up. It was like rapids, and then it was a bit of a dip, like a bit of a hole, and then it sort of slowed up a bit. On the far bank was overhanging trees, and on the halfway across the river was the big rushes, so it sort of gave you a little bit of a run through, and loads of cover. Fantastic looking swim. And I used to like fishing the stick float, and I still do. And anyway, so I plonked myself down, I had my waders on, got my keep netting, and the rest of the stuff was all up on the bank behind me. Fishing maggots, kept it simple, trotting it through, catching lots and lots of chublets, small roach, a few up to about 6-7 inches as well, dace, lots of dace as well in there. And I think I remember bumping a good fish, it was probably a chub, but I lost that and it snagged me up in the, which left me a bit despondent. But I weighed in £6.4, and that was enough to win that day as well. So I managed to hold on to this lovely trophy 3 years on the spin. Now, I stayed on school for another year to because I was into my technical drawing. I wanted to be like a designer, and I ended up being a kitchen designer for the first part of my working life. So technical drawing was of interest to me, and in doing so it meant I got to fish for another season. And I remember Mr. Jones saying, he said, if you win that again, you can keep it. So I thought, right, okay, that is my motivation to try and keep that trophy, because I'd had it now 3 years, and I didn't want to lose it. You know, not on my final year at Eastlea, before I then went off to go into the world of working and earning wages and all that. And so we went off down to another place that I used to fish a lot, called Waltham Abbey on the River Lee. I've mentioned it in other episodes, and that was a tough day. That was it was sort of late autumn or early winter, and for some reason it had been quite a tough season fishing wise. Because we, like I say, we fished the canals and the rivers, and we hadn't been out so much that year. I suppose what with me being, it was my exams as well I was taking, so I had to obviously make sure I put in plenty of revising and stuff like that. But anyway, on at Waltham Abbey, we went down there and caught, I remember catching some nice perch, sort of 8, 9, 10 ounces. They were like the bonus fish. And then I started off with catching bleak off the surface, and I had lots of bleak, sort of just tiny ones, a few little roach, and I weighed in exactly £4. Not a lot, is it? When you think, but it was enough. It was enough. I mean, I've won matches in the past in my adult fishing with ounces, 6, 7, 8 ounces before. So if it's enough for the day, and that was the top weight for the season again. So miraculously, I won it for the 4 years out of 4, and true to his word, I got presented with the trophy by Mr. Jones, and I've still got it. So this trophy is what way over 45 years old. Incredible. It still looks in good nick, apart from the fact there's a bit of a wing falling off. But it was just lovely times, lovely memories. Looking back, sadly no photos of me fishing time, although there's a few school photos of me, because I used to play a lot of football in those days as well. I was wanted to be a footballer, and one of my schoolmates, Kevin Hitchcock, he went on to play for Chelsea. He was a year below me, and as you'll see, I'll put a couple of photos up. I'm on the left in both the photos. I don't know why it just happened to be that way, with the long hair. We all used to have long hair then. And then Kevin, one of them, he's hanging on to the ball. He was the goalkeeper. And he started off, he went to Barking, and then they played Nottingham Forest in an FA Cup, and he had a blinder against Cloughie's team, and Cloughie bought him from Barking, took him to Nottingham Forest, and then he ended up at Chelsea. He had a little spell at West Ham as well. So yeah, he done really well. He wasn't into his fishing though, but it's amazing when you look at the photos, and in one of the photos where we're in the white, that's our junior team. I went to Kerwin Juniors, and there's me on the left. You got Kevin on the right hand side of the school teacher. He's funny. I think his name was Mr. Jones as well. We had lots of Mr. Joneses then. But standing right next to Mr. Jones, looking up at him, was a chap called David Skinto. Now, David Skinto he went to my secondary school as well. I think he come with us. I think he was into a little bit of fishing, not a lot though. But he ended up being a film writer, and you may know, if you follow the old gangster movies, he wrote the 3 films that come to mind was Gangster Number 1, Sexy Beast, and 44-inch Chest. Well, he went on to write them, and there was like Ray Winstone, I think Ben Kingsley featured in them, and Glen Murphy, and all like EastEnders type sort of characters. And so he did amazingly well for himself as well. So it's funny when I've been sort of going through all my old photos further, reeling back the Years series, all these memories just come flooding back, and to see how well they've done. And another good mate of mine for football was Scarlett Andrew, who went on to become a very successful football agent. Yeah, Jermaine Defoe, Sol Campbell, Jermaine Pennant, and I think he also looked after a few actors and actresses like Martine McCutcheon, and a few news presenters, Sarah J. Me as well. So it's quite amazing to see that going to Kerwin and Eastlea produced a lot of talent out there, and it's fantastic to see that they've all gone on to have really successful careers. And every now and then I'll chat with Scarlett on online, and he's doing really well for himself, which is brilliant. So there you go. That's the story of the Vic Franklin Trophy, and I top weight 4 years running, and as you can see, I still hold this trophy with lots and lots of affection, and I do, and that will now rest somewhere in my angler's den. Because I had to pull that out up the loft. I remembered the trophy, and I think, I'm sure I still got it, and we found it straight away, and there it is. I might even get round to mending that wing there. Now, when you go fishing, you do see some very funny situations, some scenarios that present themselves. We've all witnessed funny things when you're fishing, like someone might fall in and stuff like that. But back in the early 2000s, I had a member of a local club. I'm still a member there, and we've got 2 little tiny ponds. One had 13 pegs on it, the other one had 11. There was a round one which had 11 pegs on it, and the other one, which was more like the adult, more of a private pond, that had 13 pegs on it. But on the round one, the juniors could fish it unless there was matches going on, and of course juniors could fish in the matches as well if they wanted to. So it was a full house. There was 13 on one lake and 11 of us on the small lake, and I was drawn on the small lake on the far side, and it was predominantly carp fishing. It was that's all it was, just commercial carp, with bad mouths and all that. You got the good. Every now and then you'd get one that had had all its lips and everything, but not really what I used to enjoy catching, you know. So we're fishing away, and we're probably about 2 hours into the match, and I'm fishing a waggler. I've got my pole set up, but I used to like fishing. The depth was very shallow. I mean, there was lots of lily pads everywhere. There was a great big bed of lily pads out round about peg 11. You had peg 1 and 11, and there was a big load of lily pads. So a very good swim, especially peg 11, because the carp just tended to sort of shoal up there all the time, and it was like a flyer peg, as they called it in the matches. And so I'm fishing away, and I'm getting a few, you know, sort of pound and a half carp, and I'm accumulating a nice little weight. It could be anything, sometimes £20 and win it, or £80. It depended on weather conditions and stuff like that. And because every peg was in, it was putting obviously the fishing under a bit of pressure. It was flat calm, there was no wind, and it was quite a warm day as well. So anyway, I'm fishing there, and not to embarrass the angler, I've changed his name to Troy. I don't know a Troy. I've never fished with a Troy, so we're going to call him, for the purposes of this story, I'm going to call him Troy. Everyone else I'll use their right name. And so I'm fishing. I've got Dave in the corner, and I think it's Alan on. So I'm on peg, what's that, 11, 10, 9, 8. So I'm on peg 8. There's Dave on peg 9. There's Alan on peg 10, and then there's Jeff in the corner in the fly-out peg 11, and next to me is Troy, so he's on peg 7, and there's like a tree in between us, so I can't actually see him, and there's all like rushes, and it's a nice looking, they are nice looking ponds, I must admit. Lots of natural features. They've been there for quite a few years now. So about an hour and a half, 2 hours in, and I'm catching a few small ones. It all seems pretty quiet round where Troy's fishing. He's on the pole, fishing away on the pole. And we swap a few little, you know, like sort of, how you getting on? Yeah, I'm catching a few. What about you? He's going, no, I've not had a bite yet. I went, oh really? He said, well, how many have you had? I said, well, I've had about probably 20 carp now. He's gone, 20? I said, yeah. So I'm picking up a few. Nothing big, they're all small, you know, like sort of pound and a half, but I've probably got, 20 odd pounds, something like that. Oh, blimey. Yeah, I've not had a bite. I said, well, I'm using pellet. I used to use 4mm soft pellets, glugged in a coffee type flavour, like flavoured oyster, like pump them, like expand the pellets. And so you get like that early banter during the matches, and then it gets quiet as everyone gets their head down and it all gets a bit serious. So there's like a lull in all the chatting and all that. Everyone's got their head down and they concentrate. They can obviously see a few people catching. And in general, I felt I was doing okay. There wasn't a lot of fish being caught. So anyway, it all got a bit quiet, and then also just this commotion started next to me, and I couldn't really see, and I'm looking around to see what all this was. I could hear water thrashing, and I could hear no, and I'm going, what's Troy? What are you up to? And then all of a sudden, in the corner of my eye, because you've got this overhanging tree, I've just seen this pole just being pulled out across the pond, and there's all this splashing going on, and I'm thinking, what the hell's Troy doing around there? And the pole's gone across, and because then all of a sudden I said, and all the banter goes on, and I've watched this about 8 metres of pole, being towed by obviously a cart, and the cart went straight over in front of Peg 11, Jeff's swim, and it's obviously headed for the lily pads, and it's gone boom straight into the lily pads, and there's 8 metres of Troy's pole laying on top of the surface. And Jeff's a very witty man and a very funny man, and he sort of said, Troy, I'm sorry mate, he's gone, but you can't fish in Marpeg. He's gone, he said, like obviously being funny and whatever. He said, you can't fish in Marpeg, mate. He's gone, that's against club rules, So we laughed, and I'm just thinking, oh dear. So anyway, I've turned around and Troy's got up and he's standing there, and he's, from his waist downwards, he's just covered in mud and he's saturated. And bearing in mind that the pond's only, round the edges, it's only about that much. So what he's doing is, instead of sitting on his box, he's sat down on the bank with his sort of feet in the water, and I think he had like welly boots on. And I said, what happened there? He said, I've brought my pole back, laid it down on the side, and he said, look, and I've just gone to get me flask because I want a drink. And as I'm pouring it out, he said, all of a sudden I've seen me pole start sliding out towards the lake. And he said, and I'm trying to, with my legs, because I'm like this, I'm holding the flask and I'm trying, and then I started sliding. He said, now I'm laying in the water, and because opposite, they're absolutely on the bank in fits of laughter because they can see it all. I could just hear it all. And he said, and I'm trying to grab the pole with my feet, and he said, but I'm laying. I said, I'm just laying there, almost horizontal, and I've got tea all over me shirt and everything, and because he was just drenched. And so anyway, while he's explaining, Jeff's shouting over, what are you going to do about your pole? He said, I can't fish. He said, you're right where I'm casting. So Troy goes walking off around him past Dave, who's cracking up. I mean, I've just got tears just rolling down my face. And and so he walks over to Jeff. Jeff's just giving him some, in his ear. And he goes, so Jeff says to him, have you got a rod set up so you can like cast over and try and hook your pole and bring it back? Because Jeff can't fish. He's got this 11 metres of pole in his swim, and 8 metres of pole. You can see the pole doing that, so the fish was still attached. And Troy said, I've only set up a pole. So he's going, well, pick up my method feeder, take the bait off, and then flick it over, and hopefully you'll be able to pull it out, to pull it out. So Troy's picked up Jeff's method feeder, and he's cast it, so it goes flying over plop, and then he's like reeled in slowly, and he's sort of doing this, and I'm watching this. I mean, I've just got tears. It's so funny to have witnessed all what was going on, and then all of a sudden, as Troy's hanging on to the rod, the tip's just gone over like that, and the carp has picked up the bare hook. So there he's playing a fish on Jeff's rod in his swim. He's got he's 8 metres of pole, and Jeff was just hilarious. He's going, bloody hell, he's gone there. He said, you're really taking the piss there. He said, now you actually catching fish in my peg with my gear. He's going, you're really breaking the club rules, mate. I mean, I'm actually there on the floor. I've never seen anything quite like it. I'm on the floor, absolutely, like, when you laugh so much your stomach goes rock hard. and he's playing it, and it was a good fish as well. And after about 2 or 3 minutes, it just seemed to go on forever. He netted it, and Jeff looked at it, and he said, that's bigger than anything I've caught so far today. And he said, the worst thing is, you've caught it on a bare rock. And it was about a 3 or 4 pound carp. He said, I've had nothing over a pound. So, I mean, it was just absolutely unbelievable to have been there, witnessed it all. So he's obviously popped the fish back. And by now the pole had stopped moving about. So obviously I think the fish had, because it was barbless hooks, the fish had shed the hook. And so they had to leave the pole there for the rest of the match, which they did, because it had got wedged in too much. I think like the float and the line had all got tangled up, and it just wasn't, all it was doing, as Troy tried a couple more casts, he obviously couldn't like release it from it. So so basically that was it. That, I mean, I couldn't fish properly no more after that. I just kept getting these visions of what I'd seen, and you know, when I start getting the giggles, that's it. I've gone. I just couldn't concentrate anymore on that. I don't even remember how I got on in the match. I had a good start. I think I got top 3, something like that. I don't really matter. I can't really remember. It doesn't really matter, because it gave me one of the most funniest fishing matches that I've ever fished. To see someone lose their pole, walk round, borrow someone's rod to try and retrieve it, and then on a bare hook into a fish, play the fish that's bigger than in this case Jeff had even caught himself during the match. Absolutely hilarious, and just one of the most funniest things I've ever seen. So I thought I'd share that funny story with you, and I've got lots of other funny stories that maybe, you know, in time I'll tell, because Troy also gave me another one of the most funniest fishing stories, scenarios, and I thought I was actually going to die laughing. That was a teams of 4 event at Burial Fisheries. Amazing, funny, but I'll save that story for another day. Anyway, that's enough of me waffling on. If you've liked the video, please give it a like. If you've got any funny stories yourself that you'd like to comment on, please do underneath the video. And don't forget, if you subscribe, don't forget to click that bell notification, because that will then let you know that I've uploaded another video as well. Because when I look back through all the algorithms, there's still like 70% of people that watch my videos are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you could do that, I'll be really appreciative of that, because like, I know I'm getting bored of saying it, but unless people interact and buy likes and stuff like that, YouTube just don't, they just drop the videos, and it doesn't get out there. And I like to think that there's more anglers out there that would enjoy these reeling back the years videos. And so there you go, from winning that trophy as a young man, a young boy, 14 years old, to one of the most funniest things that I've ever seen while I was fishing. And I must admit, I was surprised that I managed to get through telling that story without going into fits of giggles, which wouldn't have been that entertaining. So just watch me just laughing all the time. But there you go. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon on Fishing Tale Films for the Reeling Back the Year series. Look after yourself, and good luck with your next fishing trip. I'll see you again soon.